Hello, I almost didn't see you there over my favorite female literature and kitschy cup. Yesterday, between my noon bra burning and anti-mansplaining session, a thought popped into my head. If you couldn't tell, I'm a feminist. Just look at my unshaven legs and ironic cup. But my question is, what about those women who aren't feminists? What about women who were maybe born feminists? What about women who maybe at one point weren't feminists but now are? And what about the world's future feminists? Well, join me on my liberal college adventures to answer some questions that you could very easily Google. Let's go! It'll be fun! Alright, so we are about to go talk to my two friends, Ashley and Nick, over at school. Ashley does not consider herself as a feminist, and she also doesn't like Beyonce, so I'm not really quite sure why I'm still friends with her. So, let's go!
Run this back. I'm working for the girls, I'm taking over the world. Have to raise the class for the college grads. More than one road, need to let you know what time it is.
How do you define feminism in your own words?
I feel like feminism is about women fighting for like their rights and stuff like that.
Okay, so if you believe in that, why do you not see yourself as a feminist?
I don't classify myself as like a today's feminist because I feel like feminists today are like so extra and like they are kind of like man-hating almost. Like they make themselves seem like more powerful than men, and I feel like it should be equal.
Okay, do you not like the term feminist? Do you think that is kind of like the issue that because it's called feminism, it kind of promotes women over men? And would you kind of be a part of it if it wasn't called feminism, or if it was something else like equalism, or?
I mean, I don't think so. I don't think the name has anything to do with it. It's more of just like the ideas behind it. It's not the name because like it's just a name.
Final question, why the fuck don't you like Beyonce?
Because Beyonce is not a god. Like, you need to calm the fuck down. You're so stupid.
Okay, so after that, we are going to go over to my mom's friend, Maylisa's house, and we are going to talk to both her and her daughter about their views on feminism. Maylise was born in America and then moved to Turkey when she was
3.
And what have you noticed any like big similarities or differences between Turkey and America in regards of the treatment of women? And
there are definite differences. So Turkey is a predominantly Muslim country, and with the current leadership, it is turning a little bit more conservative. So there are more women that are covering their heads and following more of the Muslim doctrine. However, I feel that the United States isn't that far behind. We're not treating women any better over here. Just because you can't see it visibly with a head covering or, something like that doesn't mean that we're treating our women any differently.
What female role models do you have in your life?
Well, I am very lucky. I have a lot of very strong female role models in my life. My mom was one of the first role models. I think a lot of people can say that. And I was very fortunate that she was friends with a lot of very strong women. And her mom and my dad's mom, although they were homemakers, they were also very strong women. And they kind of, even though they were homemakers, but they ran the house and they were the head of the household. And having strong women like my mom in my life and her friends in my life, made me strong and independent. So I'm very comfortable burping.
I'm just going to ask you 2 questions, okay? The first question is, do you think little boys and little girls get treated differently? Put your shirt down. How does it feel when boys and girls get treated differently?
It feels bad. Put your shirt down.
And my second question, Leona, is what do you want to be when you grow up? a doctor. We're at my house right now, and we are waiting for my mother and my grandmother to get home so we can talk to them. So this is my mother, and we're just gonna ask her a couple questions. So would you say you were scared when you saw that you had a girl?
No, I was super excited because I thought that there was going to be the opportunity to learn from my mistakes. There was the opportunity to really show you all about like my thoughts and beliefs and things that have evolved over the years and solidified into my core values. I grew up around an amazingly diverse group of people, and I was always taught, not by necessarily the words, not by necessarily somebody saying to me that this is how you have to be with people, but my parents and my family always displayed unequivocal love for people regardless of their race, regardless of their sexual orientation, regardless of their political beliefs. It didn't matter that they were different from us. If they had value, and to me, that growing up with an expanded worldview in such a small town made it easier to see made it easier to sort of accept and embrace people. It's really conforming to the expectations that people have of you to be quiet and in the background. We've always sort of said, be yourself and do what you want to do. And so I think that you've really, from the time you were little, there was no question that you were going to be a powerhouse.
I have boogers in my nose.
No boogers. Oh, here we have my lovely grandmother, who I refer to as Maya, because it means
Grandmother in Albanian, and we're not Albanian, but it was a lovely name. I like the sound of it.
Alrighty. So Maya, you grew up in what some would consider as the golden age of feminism. Did you ever march in any protests or do anything to kind of help to contribute to the feminist movement? Because were you even a feminist at the time, or?
I don't think I was. I don't believe I was. And I didn't march specifically for women's rights at that time, but I did march for change in the government and what was going on in our lives at that time. In the 50s, an entirely different way of living and thinking about how families should be and what the father's role was and what the mother's role was. And I did march for change in our lifestyle.
What was kind of the perception of feminism in?
I don't believe that there was really anything even mentioned much about feminism at that time. It wasn't specific feminism, but it was the time of bra burning, so that was the beginning of feminism. And I never burned a bra because I didn't wear one at that time. My parents were very traditional. My father grew up in the South, and his mother did all the work at the house, and his father was the one who went out and worked. And that's the way it was with my mother and my father. My father was the worker, and my mother stayed home and took care of the children. When my kids were born, both my husband and I really wanted to give our children freedoms that we fought for. We raised our daughters to be strong-willed and smart about what they did, and They turned out to be fantastic women.
We are now going to go talk to my aunt. She is a head at the insurance company that she works at, a very male-dominated business, and she is probably going to have a very interesting perspective for us. So let's go talk to her. So this is my Aunt Jen.
Hello.
And Aunt Jen, what do you do for a living? Where do you work?
I work for United Healthcare, which is the world's largest insurance company.
So Aunt Jen used to not identify as a feminist. Do you think part of the reason why you didn't identify as a feminist was because you worked in kind of a male-dominated business and you didn't want to be perceived as bitchy or bossy just for being assertive, because feminists do have kind of that negative stereotype that they are bitchy?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think I've always, at the core, believed in feminist values, but in the workplace, I've really tempered that because it does give the perception that, you, especially women, as they move into leadership roles, they're perceived differently than men. Men and women are treated differently, and so in the workplace, I think I've tempered the expression of my feminist values for that reason. There are very few women represented at the executive level, and that's still true today. On Fortune 500 list, there are very few female CEOs of large companies, less than 20%. And we're not making the kind of progress I think that we should be making in 2017. I think that has really opened my eyes to the fact that I need to be less tempered about it and do more to support women and be supported as women progress in their careers.
All right, so that is it. That we got our perspectives on feminism from several different women. I think having these conversations with women is very important. I think kind of understanding and talking with women about everybody's backgrounds and their choices is a good thing to do, because we all need to be a little bit more understanding about each other. Even if somebody doesn't feel the same way as you need to be able to have a civilized discussion with them. You need to be able to sit down and just have an educated conversation and be able to listen to them and be able to kind of reflect on yourself. And I think I did that. I think everybody who I talked to had some really great stories to tell, and I think I did a pretty good job. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Can you get out of my shot, please? Sir, you're in my shot. I'm gonna need you to leave. Sir, get out of my shot. Critique by second-rate feminist Betty Friedan. Are you kidding me? This is about to be a perfect take.
You didn't get perfect.
Oh God.